The winner today doesn't just win the $50,000 prize, but they also win the benefit and the wisdom of these fine panelists. So without further ado, I'll start with Mike Volker. Everyone, you have 140 Twitter characters to describe who you are and why you're on the panel. And then once you're done, we'll call up our first guest to present.
Thanks, James. Yeah, my name is Mike Volker. I'm a very active angel investor. I've invested in over 100 startup companies here in Vancouver. I run a monthly angel forum, and if any of you are interested in attending that, just let me know. You'd be more than welcome to join us.
Awesome.
I'm no angel. I'm Chris Parry. I run Equity Guru, a financial news website that helps public companies tell their story. And I've heard about 1,000 pitches in the last 4 days.
Stacey.
Hi, my name is Stacey Wallen. I'm the Director of Venture Programming for the BC Tech Association, and it's my job to design all of the growth and scale stage programming for technology companies in the province, as well as provide access to capital to both domestic and international investors.
I was just on the last panel, but Manny Fata, investor here in Vancouver, have a portfolio of about 50 companies in mining and natural resources and technology.
Praveen.
Hi, I'm Praveen Varshney. I'm a principal of a local family office called Varshney Capital. We specialize in social impact and public venture capital. I'm also one of the active angels in Vancouver.
Hi, I'm John Muffalini. I lead the technology practice at MMP. I've been 20 years in the space, both sides of the border, and I work with a lot of companies in the startup space, either to help raise money or plan their successful exits.
Hi, I'm Sarah Riegelhuth. I'm the Australian representation on the panel. I'm a serial entrepreneur, started 8 companies in the last 10 years, exited 4 of them, failed a couple spectacularly, and I have invested in a handful of startups myself.
Hey everybody, my name is Tom Emmerich. 3 years ago, I moved to San Francisco to start a fund dedicated to augmented reality called Super Ventures. We're an early stage fund, and we've made 11 investments so far, including 1 investment here in Vancouver called Cognitive 3D, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, save the best for last, I guess. My name is Pardeep Sangha. I'm with Haywood Securities, Senior Technology Analyst there. For the past 10 years, I've been a technology analyst covering small cap tech companies, and also previous to that, 7 years in the venture capital world as well, and looking forward to the pitches today.
Awesome. Everyone give your panel a hand, please. So just to reemphasize format, presenter comes up, they have 5 minutes. They have 5 minutes to present. At the end of that 5 minutes, and I'll make sure they end at 5 minutes, our panel gets 5 minutes to offer commentary. And to provide a little more action, they've got little signs. How about we go a scale 1 to 10? 10 being, I like it a lot, and 1 being, here comes the cane and you should get off the stage. And I'll pick who I want to respond based on what you put up as a card, and I'll make sure everyone gets a chance to say something. And if you really, really, really want to say something and I'm not giving you a chance, just interrupt, because that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to introduce the first presenter. It's Alexandra Nesterchuk from HopKidz. She's the CEO, and she's now on the clock. I'll welcome her to the stage. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alexandra Nesterchuk. I'm the founder and CEO of HopKidz, and we are actively seeding right now, raising up to $1 million Canadian. Let me start by saying that we believe that you don't have to choose between being a parent and building a successful career. You can successfully do both. However, I was put to that choice a year ago when I started looking for jobs coming back from maternity leave, and I had to decline 3 out of 4 job interview requests because I couldn't find last-minute childcare. I looked around, and 10 out of 10 of my friends were facing the same issue, where they were trying to balance their careers with having a family, with their lifestyles and emergency situations. But hey, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I thought there must be a better way of managing this, because on Facebook every day I see both daycares and nannies offering spots, but they're not happening, the connection is not happening. Therefore, I built HopKidz as the connector. We're addressing I need it right now childcare needs with parents who can now instantly search, and in real time they can see everyone available around the area where they need to be. And they get the full benefit of 100% screened providers. They review their profiles online, they book online, they pay online, and they can drop off their child within 15 minutes of that reservation happening. The provider sides are very interested because they do have excess capacity. They want to increase the margins. Operating a daycare is expensive. And now they, with little time or no experience, they can instantly put themselves on the map and they're guaranteed a payment even if the parent doesn't show up. To define the field, I'm not sending babysitters to parents' homes. I am a hosted service that our friends, family, and neighbors are typically providing when you can drop off your child at their location if they happen to live next to your doctor's appointment. We are a search and payment gateway. We are not obligated to, but we take the safety of our kids very seriously. We are tapping into already qualified supply, working with licensed daycares and people who work in childcare as daycare staff, EC, teachers, nurses, etc. We screen everyone and we make sure that everyone is following the regulation, as well as parents and providers both sign off on assuming the liability and risk that it comes with interacting with each other. The business model for application is business to consumer. We charge platform fees to both sides on the transaction happening. We charge 9% each side. After merchant fees, we're netting to about 14% of the transaction. There are otherwise no subscriptions because we are, after the user acquisition right now, and betting on the volume-based revenues. The future opportunity include offering the service as a platform for government and corporations as a benefit to their employees, monthly recurring revenue through enhanced functionality, patentable technology, which can be packaged separately and licensed out, as well as we're aiming to go beyond just childcare, addressing anything kids care of ages 0 to 16 years old. Generally, the goal is to have HopKidz as a household name and the quality standard and accessibility standard in the industry. The market is huge. There are other people who are doing the hosted service as we do in US and Australia, but there is no one in Canada at the moment, so we are first to market, starting with BC, and we're going to be looking at Ontario, Alberta here, and it's going across the border in the nearest future. Just to show you a forecast, to be able to be at the burn rate, we need only 500 actively booking parents and 100 providers who are opening spots and are operating at half capacity. We launched last Monday with a fully functional beta. We got slammed with demand. We have 98 host applications coming in within the first few days. 14 are already operating and posting. We have parents signed up and we created a huge buzz in Facebook groups and in the news, specifically in Tri-Cities because we're based out of Coquitlam. My awesome team includes parents on the mission. Between us, there are 15 kids and tons of experience in UI UX for mobile web development. Myself, I have background in computer science and in business management, and we have a backing of community, including the Mantra Scully, who's the founder of Canadian Nanny, is on our board. So yes, the seed opportunity is here for up to $1 million to address the execution on the market domination plan that we have, and approximate exit strategy right here on the slide. You can read it. So we are going to be growing quite quickly, expecting to see the first revenues right now as we speak, and be the cash flow positive within a year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
We'll leave it there. You got the success slide right there. Everyone give her a hand. And judges, when you're done clapping, put down your 1 to 10. I know the Canadian judges won't give a 1 ever, but I know there's 2 Australian judges, so.
Australia is on the radar.
And kind of put it up so I can see it and the audience can see it. This is based on an initial reaction. Okay, we got some 6s, we got some, yeah, okay. Half point, really? This makes the math really complicated. Okay, cool. Praveen, you gave a 7, and Mike, you gave a 7. I'll start with Praveen. What's keeping you at the higher end of the spectrum here? Because the group was mostly 5s and 6.
No, these gig economy opportunities are definitely interesting, and we see some entrepreneurs that try and go really broad, and I like the niche. I understand the niche, as a parent. I like her vision and passion. At the end of the day, with all these startups, it's not so much about due diligence on the history. It's going to be more about the team.
Yeah.
I see some of the advisors that she's working with, like Keith is a good buddy of mine, so I think she's got some good people around her to hopefully bring this to a successful company.
Right. Mike, anything you want to add to that? Because you're a higher score.
Yeah, I like the slide that showed the immediate traction that you were getting just launching it a week ago. I think that's a really good start. When I first looked at it, I was a bit dubious, but when I saw that, it warmed me up quite a bit.
Very early, but metrics are always important. Someone had a 5 or a 5.5. Go for it.
Yeah, I really like this idea, but at the end of the day, I think it comes down to marketing and reputation. And as you pointed out, with childcare, there's a lot of liability, and I worry about that a lot. And even though you may not be taking the brunt because you have contracts, at the end of the day, your brand will be attributed to whatever potentially may happen, both on the positive side and on the negative side. So, and on top of that, I wonder about the use of money in the raise. You're going to need a lot of funds to be able to promote your brand, and especially as you start to branch outside of Canada, where you do have the unfair advantage to really make the multiples in revenue.
I'll let you answer, because Nanny's on call is about $30 a booking, if I recall, because I use them. And you have to pay, you get a discount per the volume. So what's your initial pricing package look like? Can you comment on that?
We let our host provider base to set up their own pricing. Okay. On the platform, there is a minimum that they can charge, which is $14 an hour. So after the fees, they don't go below the minimum wage in BC specifically. And then because we're screening so much, we are delivering quality to the parents, so we do not expect anyone to be criminal record check and having CPR first aid and the reference and all of this experience and be charging below that, like $10 an hour babysitting rate. So minimum is $14, and the minimum booking is 2 hours. So the minimum transaction is 28, out of which we are keeping 14%.
Yeah, Nanny's on call is a minimum 4 hours, 2 per session. Okay.
Any others? Nanny's on call will guarantee you someone within 36 hours, where we can have someone there. Sorry, we can have your child there within 15 minutes.
Yeah, and they're not 100% fill on that, trust me. Anyone else? Any strong feelings about this particular deck? Chris?
When you first came out, the first slide, I was going to write 10 and hold it up, because I've got kids, and right now one of them's throwing up, and I'm like urgently trying to get someone there. But where it came crashing down for me is a little bit on the financial side of it. What you're charging as a minimum and what you're taking out of that is too little. And I don't see how many appointments you'd need to actually get through to get to a place where you could properly grow this thing. I'd be happy to pay $50 for 2 hours if I'm getting someone who I know has been checked, and it's a sustainable model that's going to help that person with their life. But $28, like you're cheaper than a cab.
Once again, our providers do set up their own price. If that's a professional nanny with 20 years of experience, she's welcome to set up $25 an hour price. We are agnostic to price. We are taking a cut. And I totally hear you that you would be happy to pay $50, but there is plenty of professionals, and our target is millennials who cannot afford to buy a house. So they may be very price sensitive. Childcare is a price sensitive matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I pay $1,200 a month for it.
All right. Childcare has got to be a big business opportunity. I have two, and I bleed cash for them, from people to care for them. So this hopefully is a solution.
May I just address one little thing?
Very quickly, please.
Our risk mitigation deck is 24 pages. I'll be happy to share.
Great. Thanks so much. Give her a hand, folks. It takes a lot to come up and do that. Thank you so much. And we compiled the score on that one with the 0.5. Good. I'm not good at math. I'm not doing that. Okay, next presentation is from Rob Atwell, who's the COO of Careteam. 5 minutes is now yours. Give him a hand, folks.
Thank you. Hello, judges.
Just to be
Hello,
brutally clear,
everybody.
I'm not taking eSports.
So we're a Vancouver-based digital health company. We provide a care coordination platform based on a care plan for patients. So healthcare and healthcare data is in a terrible state. So it is a siloed and fragmented experience for everybody, both inside clinics and for families and the people who care for them around them. So we see the need for a transformation of the healthcare experience and for data for everybody concerned with care plan. So most of healthcare happens outside the hospital, but there's no organizing principle for it. Everything that is provided in terms of solutions for providing data, care collaboration, and so on, is a very fragmented experience for everybody concerned. So what we've done is to create a common platform that integrates healthcare across the entire healthcare spectrum. So we're essentially a horizontal platform for a world that's siloed and highly fragmented. So we're sort of going the other way. Everything right now is very provider to patient, as opposed and the reality of complex care and the most expensive patients is that you have multiple providers, multiple conditions, and multiple people on both ends, both the family side and on the healthcare side, that need to share information about what's happening with the patient in order to be successful. Nobody's satisfied with this, both the family side, the patients, so if you think about people with dementia, congestive heart failure, all of the most expensive cases, COPD and so on, they have a lot of instructions. Most people with dementia have 5 to 6 care conditions that have lots of instructions and so on. Family members want to help, but they don't know what to help. They don't know what the plan is. They don't know how to help. Clinicians don't know all the conditions that people are experiencing, and they don't have an easy access to all the instructions and providers and the ability to communicate with everybody involved in the patient's care. So, and then for the payers and for healthcare managers, they don't know what the likelihood that somebody is about to readmit. So we're providing a solution that will help with that. So Careteam is an in-market platform that has been launched with 4 different hospitals that takes the healthcare team and the clinical team and everybody else concerned, whether it's private nursing, allied healthcare, and so on, puts them on one care plan around a single patient so they can see what the plan is, who's on the team, what has to be done, and how they can help and weigh in with the care of a patient. When you look at healthcare transactions, the vast majority of what happens in terms of a person recovering has to do with care in the community. So very, very few. If you look at this chart, only when you look at a single hospital, about 17,000 transactions happen within a hospital. About 2.5 million happen in the community. We're providing an organizing principle to deal with the home and community care. So this is a huge market. There are at least 6,600 clinics that are involved in the care of complex patients. We see this as a $6.6 billion market, and we would say that we're in the first inning of digital health, right? We're very early in this stage, and so we're in a market that's going to grow and get bigger, get more sophisticated, more adapted as digital health is adopted. When you look at the competitive landscape, we're a connector. So we're not trying to compete with PHRs and all the other digital providers. What we are is more like a Slack for healthcare that connects across the system. So I'm happy to explain this chart to anybody that would like to go over it. We have a strong team with strong digital health experience. Alexandra Greenhill is our Chief Medical Officer and CEO. She has vast experience. Jeremy Smith is a Cerner transformation expert, and I'm a SaaS expert. We have some excellent advisors and investors, some of which are on stage. We have a lot of traction. We have 4 hospitals signed up. We're involved with a number of collaboratives. We have 12 expressions of interest from the NHS to work with us. We're currently in very detailed discussions with the NHS. We have an ambitious growth plan, and our timeline is, or our current sort of priority is to develop evidence around what we're doing so that we can start to scale. We just closed a round of financing, and we'll be doing a new round starting about June next year, hopefully closing in September 2019. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Give a hand, folks. So just to be clear, is this an app on your phone, or what's the interface for the user of this platform? Real quickly.
So it's a HTML5 app. So it's desktop for healthcare administrators and tablet-based in the hospital, and then for the family, it's mostly on the phone.
Right. Okay. So a nurse next door comes home. They have this. They're using that for the point of care. Okay.
Yeah. But you can access it from any platform.
And I'm just going to ask it now. Who pays for it?
Hospitals pay for it. So the cost of care coordination is borne by the hospital, by the payer. So
I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Let's judge. And leave up your number for a little longer. Okay, man, you got to put an NA, but we're going to default you to a 6. Okay, because for purposes of scoring, we got to do something. So I'm playing a little loose with this, but well, you know, he's.
I'll put it this way: I'm invested over 50 companies. That's the only company I sit on the board.
And that was going to be my question: why?
I bet on people, and so I bet on Rob and Alex since the first business they had, My Best Helper, which is generated and built this one out, and so that's the reason that I'm backing it. The team initially you invest in isn't typically the product that gets built and won't be the product they exit, but the team usually stays the same.
Cool, man. I missed some of the scores. Can you put them up again one more time? Sorry. All right. I need to know why you got 9 up there.
Okay. So I guess I had the high score. What was your score, Manny?
Not applicable.
Not applicable, okay. So some of the same comments Manny had said. I really like the pitch. First of all, the team looks really strong, has domain expertise. The market, I mean, this is a huge market, and healthcare is a huge problem. We all know that. The funding solutions are not in place for healthcare, and it's a broken system. And if you can offer something to, especially the home care market, which reduces the cost of delivery of healthcare services, that's a great, great benefit. And in this space, we see a lot of exits that are healthy exits. So you've got companies like Cerner, for example, and some of you guys have some experience there. Cerner goes around buying up companies like yours all the time. So I think there's, you know, if you guys execute properly, this is definitely an acquisition play with a good valuation multiple.
Cool. Who is a little lukewarm on it? Yourself?
More in terms of the pitch and what I'd like to know more of. I understand the problem and absolutely think this is a problem worth solving, really like the idea. I would like to see more how it looks. I think I was just trying to understand. I think I understand that you're getting the information from all the existing systems, and I understand maybe with that, the app, what the patient would see, but I'd love to see more of what the actual hospitals will see so that I could really understand the solution a bit better, and maybe a little more on the financials, just understanding how that would work.
Okay. Sounds good. So if you want to see the app in action, you can have a look at our site. There's some pictures of it and so on. The pitch wasn't good because you got the second string pitcher. But in terms of the financials, the basic plan is it's $50 a patient and a minimum of 2,000 patients per hospital department to adopt. So it's about a $100,000 deal. And it starts with a pilot and then transfers into commercial. That's
cool.
The business model.
Stacey, I haven't heard from you yet. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I'm a fan of this company, but I do also have to admit that they went through the program that BC Tech operated this year as a growth program, and so one of the things that I really appreciate about this team is the fact that they deeply understand the problem. And that's something that I think is really unique in the medical space, especially in the med tech space, where we frequently see technologists coming in with what makes sense from a technology perspective. Yep. And I really appreciate the fact that they deeply understand the problem and that they have experience selling into that market, and so they've been able to design a solution that works well through all the internal processes. So.
Right. And sorry, another comment.
So one of the things that I would say in your pitch,
Mike.
You know, there are a lot of people that are doing something similar to what you guys are doing on both sides of the border. I would try to highlight why you guys are the ones that are, you know, the forefront. What competitive advantage do you have to others? Because there are other folks. I'm actually working with another company that does something similar than what you pitched. But I like the space. There's a huge market, so not to say that a number of companies can't be successful in the space, but I think that's something that you probably want to talk about.
So I think that's a great comment. We do have a way of understanding the market based on care coordination levels, just because it is, when you start looking at care coordination, it's a dizzying array of providers and so on. So we've segmented it based on which direction they serve the population, but that's great feedback. Thank you.
Cool. Great job. We're out of time for that panel, but thank you so much. Good comments. And sorry, I suck at math, like I said. Just take him out, average by 8, divide by 8, and then we don't have to worry about you going to bed tonight thinking you gave him a 6 when you would have given him a 10. So. Mark Godley's our next speaker. He's the CEO of Livecare. I don't know if that's anything similar to Careteam. But Mark Godley, you got 5 minutes. Come on up and wow the crowd.
Thank you.
Let's
This is working? Yeah. Thanks.
You're on.
That's good. Okay, thanks for this opportunity. I'm Dr. Mark Godley, healthcare entrepreneur, but I'm more of a disruptor. I've been in the healthcare business for the last 20 years. Founded the False Creek Healthcare Center, the Maple Surgical Center in Winnipeg, the Urgent Care Center here, and then about 4 years ago, started really understanding that there was a huge disparity in the way healthcare is being delivered in this country and around the world, where depending on where you live, you can get access, and the access might be good or might not be, depending on that. And so we came up with the idea of digitalizing healthcare. So I got together with a group of doctors, and we started developing a platform that we started using in First Nations communities, which are traditionally rural and remote, and developed a platform over the last 4 years through the doctors that work with us. This platform allows us to take a physical healthcare environment, a hospital, a clinic, and virtualize it, allowing us to scale the delivery of healthcare. And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the ability for a patient to connect through their mobile devices, through an app that you can download for free. And I invite all of you to download this app right now, Livecare Connect M. And then you will see there's a built-in healthcare navigator. That's a human service component where you talk to a real live person who can actually take you through the healthcare system in whichever hospital or clinic that you're attached to. Within the clinic itself, the clinic is scalable because we've taken the physical environment of the clinic and we've actually created a workflow that's virtualized. So the doctor now can see multiple more patients online. And this allows the doctor to scale their availability, their services, and so on. So the platform is all-encompassing, it's unified, it integrates into the existing legacy electronic medical records, and at the same time allows for the workflow that allows for scaling of healthcare delivery. So our business at the moment, we're a company that's been in, as again said, in business for the last 4 years. We've got top-line revenues of 5.3 million, and we expect to go to over 20 million within the next 16 months. And how we're about to do this is we're acquiring our patients through clinic acquisitions. We've already acquired 3 clinics this year with about 34,000 patients and 14 doctors in those clinics, and we're slowly digitalizing the practices and modernizing them and making them more efficient. So we're pre-IPO at the moment, and we're looking to raise $10 million to get to our magic number of 1 million patients and 100 doctors in an ecosystem of 10 clinics. We've had significant traction with downloads. We've got at least 322 doctors using our platform at the moment. We're averaging about 55,000 online visits using the video technology, and we are continuing to realize incredible growth in our market. The benefits, I'm not going to go through. We all understand the benefits. Cost savings with travel, reducing the footprint, the greenhouse footprint, reducing the readmissions to hospitals, and so on. but most importantly, for you as the patient, the convenience, the access, and that continuum of care. Think about British Columbia, 4.6 million people, 750,000 people without a family doctor. What we can do with our technology, and we're proving it out, is that a doctor with 1,500 patients attached to them can now attach another 500 patients through efficiencies and through scaling through innovation. You can't scale a doctor, but you can scale healthcare delivery through technology, digitalization of the clinic. One very important secret sauce to our platform is that we partnered with McMaster. And through McMaster, we developed a personal health record called Kindred. This is like your health vault, or it's like your health version of Facebook. It's your account where all your medical information will be stored. It's an aggregate. It's a repository of information where you can share through push and pull. Your doctor can push information into your record, and you can upload your wearables or any other medical information and share it with your physician. This is powerful. It's the future. It's democratization of healthcare, and we're about to blockchain this, which is going to mean that you as the patient will have complete control over who, how, and when your information will be used.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes. You slipped in the B word at the end. We won't get into that for a minute. Are you guys deploying at clinics here in town? Because I know Coast Medical and Seymour is already using.
Coast Medical is one of our clinics, so it's powered by Livecare.
Yep.
It's a subsidiary. We wholly own the Coast Medical chain, and that's ground zero.
Yep, okay, I know quite a bit about that. Mark away, folks. I've got the back row, but I don't have the front row. Was that?
I think we're all similarly baffled. Like,
you go to the doctor, you have your visit, you get a doctor, you go home, next time you have a wart on your face, you go and call up the thing and they talk to you.
Look, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a real necessity. Telemedicine is the future of medicine, but there's a lot of companies in this space.
And I think we'll talk about a sec, is GP adoption is a huge barrier with this, I know. But give me a score, I need a score.
I'd like to answer the question, actually.
Well, I'll let you, but I got to get a score.
It was 8 until you said blockchain.
8 times. One more time, just to make sure we get it all. Okay, who's the low dog on this one? We'll go in the background. Yeah. Before you say why you give a 5, I'll let you answer the question. How about that?
Okay, so there's this paradigm that we have to shift, right? The population in general is not really, I mean, even though we understand the benefits, but the population at large is not really driving digitalization of healthcare like in the banking industry or other industries. So what we need to do is, through the acquisition of clinics, we can influence the way the doctors are practicing medicine through change management, and that's how we're going to end up influencing the patient to use the technology and better deliver healthcare.
Cool. Okay, the low score was 5. Why?
Yeah, I actually like that part of your pitch, the acquisition of the clinic. I'm in San Francisco, and One Medical is a company very similar to what you're doing. They just raised a whack ton of money, and they're a lot further ahead, so it's a heavy competitive space. This is one of the reasons why my score was a little bit lower. I think overall, I get the problem, I get your vision, I hope it happens, but your traction over the 3 or 4 years that you've been around worries me a little bit, although I do really like this new strategy of acquiring clinics to transform the end-to-end workflow that you require in order to make a digital practice happen. So kudos to you for identifying that.
Yeah, thank you. Just to say a few things about that. So with our technical team that we've had in place and the confluence of a number of factors, the more availability of 4G and 4LTE, the increase in the power of the personal devices from a processor perspective, the improvement in compression technology for video, and the personal health record aspect, and this shift towards the patient owning the medical data and the medical data not being stored in silos is really the differentiator for us.
And I just want to underscore that the access to your medical data is huge. Being someone that is Canadian, didn't have that on a regular basis, it's one of the best benefits that I have down in the States through One Medical. So I think that is a feature that you should continue to pound home on.
Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else feel strongly about this? Chris, did you hear anything that made you want to say anything else?
I mean, just to add to that, Wellness Health is another company that's gone public recently. The CEO of TO Networks, so he's got a track record and fast to market. He's acquiring clinics at a fast clip. He's not alone. Relic Health Technologies is doing telemedicine. It's not that what you've got, it doesn't work, it's that it's working for a lot of companies. So yes. What it's lacking for me is the thing that puts it over the top and makes everybody else want to either buy you or be you.
Okay, so from that perspective, you got healthcare providers who are part of this company who have got years of experience in multiple healthcare systems. Me being one of them, my partners here today who are in the audience also involved in healthcare system management and overall design. That's the one aspect of this. It's the relationships. This is all about relationships. I can go to Kelowna. I've got 35 South African doctors there delivering care to over 250,000 patients. They're in. They're in. They're going to be in on this IPO. It's going to be a groundswell. We're going to push this through patient acquisition. At the same time, with Well and that company, this is good for us. TELUS coming to the table, it's good for us. Babylon coming to the table. It's a paradigm shift. There are so many people. Every single person needs healthcare. So if there's 4.6 million people in British Columbia and this is ground zero, give us 1 million of those patients and we're good to go.
Okay, Mark, I'll leave it at that, but I actually want to let Manny just elucidate in 20 seconds why you knocked him down a peg for using the B word.
Anytime someone says blockchain and doesn't back it up with an explanation of exactly what they're going to do,
yes,
you automatically lose points in my book.
Okay, I'm not going to let you respond to that.
Okay.
Sorry. Good job. You did a great job. All right. Not that blockchain wasn't in the entire morning's content of the show.
I'm a big believer in blockchain. I've got a number of investments in the space. However, I always joke around when we talked about our CPC, I should have named it Cannabis Crypto Blockchain Corp, and it would immediately be at $1 already. So it's just a way of getting through that.
Yeah. I mean, it can't just be a marketing tag at the end. It's got to be
fundamental. We're doing blockchain. I'm sure they're doing a great job with it. He only had 5 minutes, but
No. Okay, cool. Dan Syback is our next presenter, the second last. He's the CEO of the Gaming Stadium, which we had eSports tomorrow as a topic, so this is going to be fantastic to hear more about this. Go for it. Give him a hand, folks.
Now we're going to talk about something that is completely new in the Canadian market, and it really does have investors. It's taken them by storm. They don't know how to get into it. They don't know what to do with it. Now in my generation, I've been lucky enough to play some Pong. It came out a year before I was born. And through the growth of that, through consoles, through the growth of the internet, when speeds became or caught up with the games, local groups of friends expanded into this worldwide association of gamers that you all know as eSports. And it did change the way we play, didn't it? How we communicate with friendships, how we made these friendships and how they formed. It made all of us team players, and it's just grown from there. So today, eSports is on the verge of becoming a $1 billion industry with a global audience of over 300 million fans, and there's no end to the growth in sight, as a lot of you are aware. Prize money exceeds $1 million. The sponsorships are as high as $266 million, with $155 million in tournaments of sponsors representing some of the world's most well-known companies, and I'm sure you've heard of them. Intel, Coca-Cola, Comcast, Red Bull, T-Mobile. Esports is a solidly mainstream in the next decade. It's not a fad. So today it provides opportunities for a rapidly growing niche. But what is that niche? Only 5% of gamers actually become professionals. So where does that leave the other 95% who love to play, but they don't know where to go? Well, the Gaming Stadium is going to revolutionize esports in Canada. It is the first of its kind in the Canadian marketplace, and it's going to be the home of all things esports. So we plan to host and access the newest and best technology at the Gaming Stadium. We're going to partner with friends who put the needs of gamers at the forefront. But most importantly, we plan to grow esports community in BC and beyond. So how are we going to do these three things? Well, first, the gaming stadium in Richmond is being built by gamers for gamers. There's going to be a theater area capable of seating 250 viewers, but we will also be able to host major tournaments and events with a VIP lounge area for an additional 60 patrons. And the stage and theater itself can be adapted to house multiple esports games for a variety of leagues and events. It's going to host a dedicated training area with 40 computers, so whatever your age, whatever your skill level, if you want to hone your skills, our coaches will be there. Our workshops will be there, and our high-performance training centers will be there for you. This is the Esports Rec Center for Vancouver, and as we roll these out across Canada in those communities as well. So second of all, we're currently engaging with major partners that will dramatically increase not only our visibility, but it's going to help us to help their consumers experience even better their product. We're going to grow to partner with some of the best local companies that love esports as much as we do, and we will partner, and we will be announcing more about these partnerships very soon on our website, thegamingstadium.com. Now, right now, our leadership team consists of the very heart of competitive esports in Vancouver for the past 6 years. And this includes an advisory team from UBC Esports, as well as Simon Fraser Esports. So really, that leads to my third point, which is really important. At the heart of what we do for the growth of the esports community is for those 95%. The gaming stadium will offer several different esports games and different leagues with various players' needs and aspirations at the forefront. The league games range from youth leagues to adult leagues, and they're going to include League of Legends, Fortnite, I'm sure you've all heard of that one, Overwatch, and CSGO. Now, these 4 games we chose because we understand that to cultivate the next generation of great gamers, we know that esports enthusiasts, they don't want to fall under one category. Whatever your age, whatever your sex, you should experience the game of your choice. We should be able to cater to your aspirations, but most importantly, at the same time, we want you to do it with the game of your choice that you love.
I'll cut you off there. Yeah. We're at 5 minutes.
Okay.
Quickly, what are you asking for?
So our ask is for $500,000 for 5% of our company after we've raised our first initial seed.
Say that one more time.
Say that again, please.
Yeah. $500,000 for 5% of common voting shares after our initial raise that we've already accomplished.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let that marinate. I want to vote on that one. All right.
There you go.
So you guys are, sorry, you're generating revenue right now? Through how?
Yeah, we're going through our sponsorships right now. We already have commitments from several major sponsors, which, like we said, you'll hear in the next few weeks.
So they're basically giving you revenue to start your business?
Sponsorship dollars, as well as we have tournaments coming up, 4 tournaments coming up over the next year. We are opening our temporary facility in March 2019 with the hard opening of the stadium late fall, early winter of 2019.
And before you guys put up the signs, what's the long-term business model? Who pays for the training and all that stuff?
When you say training, what are you talking about?
Well, I assume people using your system are, how would they?
Absolutely. So they pay for the workshops and everything. Yep. However, with the leagues and everything, there's a dual business model. Not only will teams pay for their own teams, but they'll also with sponsorships, they'll be sponsored. So it's, say, a league of 16 teams. We'll have sponsors that sponsor each of those teams. They get jerseys. The sponsors are on that. So it's very much like a youth soccer team, like you see with Tim Hortons and such, Timbits hockey. But you'll be able to have it's a way for some smaller businesses that still want to access that 18 to 38-year-old demographic, how they can access them on a weekly basis.
So hold on a second. 15, 20 years ago when I was in those nerdy LAN parties, now I can actually make money potentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scores. Hold them up. Sorry, some criteria changed. All right, we got a couple 4-baggers. And then what was the highest? Was that an 8 from Chris because he's a gamer? Okay, well, I'll start with Manny and then we'll go up to yours as well.
So I love the esports space. I think it's great. My only issue is this sounds like a real estate play. with some really good technology, and I'm wondering what would stop someone else coming into the space just with more money to be able to build out the same thing. And so I don't see the competitive advantage and the scalability factor there.
And before you answer, Pardeep, what was your, because this might stack on each other here, this comment.
Yeah, it's a similar comment, but to add to that, I honestly, I didn't get it, quite frankly. I didn't know, are you actually buying real estate and building something on top, or are you taking a warehouse and retrofitting that? Like, I didn't get, and you're raising what? You've already raised a couple million already, you can raise 500,000 more, that's 2.5 million total. I mean, what are you going to do with 2.5 million bucks? I mean, you're trying to build this facility of some sort. Furthermore, why does this should even be in Vancouver? I mean, if I was going to build an eSports stadium, I'd go raise $20 million, set up in San Francisco or Toronto, where the population is much bigger. Vancouver's a tiny spot.
Yeah.
I can answer that.
Was that Chris?
I live in Richmond.
Yeah.
The only thing to do in Richmond is to play network video games with other kids. Like, there's big gaming centers all over the city. It's a very different place.
Yeah.
And if I was going to start something grassroots in that manner, Richmond's actually the place to do it. You're not going to do it downtown because Aquilini's going to corner the market on that front. But at a community-sized entity, I could see that working out of Richmond better than anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea that you're trying to train. I think that's kind of cool. Praveen, I heard from you in a while. What's on your mind here?
Yeah, I'm not a gamer. I understand it's a huge global opportunity, but I really wasn't clear on what the company does, right? So I was a little confused.
Did you get certified to be a trainer? Like with these people that are coming in?
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're saying about you don't get it. You don't get it because 5 minutes isn't enough time to do it.
I'm going to stop you for a second. There's 4 other guys that come up already, and we never had this issue that they can't even tell us what they're doing. So saying 5 minutes is not enough time is not a good enough excuse. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not giving you an excuse. Yours, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Fair enough.
We have 1 more minute. Any other thoughts or go ahead?
So I think the whole esports gaming thing's a huge market. I mean, in Ontario, it's massive. I mean, I've got 3 young kids that I had to ban it after Labor Day. You know, the whole Fortnite phenomenon. Mm-hmm. I was at CES last year, and that probably had the biggest traction. The whole esports. You know, presentations and facilities. So the big question I have, I believe in the space. I mean, some of the comments are they don't know what you're doing, but I think it really has to be how are you going to scale this business? I don't know if 250 whatever seats or trainers or customers you're going to have at a time is going to be enough, but to me it's a huge market. Is how scalable is it? And what you're doing here, and that's my comment. But I think it's a huge opportunity, and I think you're probably going to pivot as you do this thing. Meaning,
sorry, I missed that last part.
You're going to probably pivot and not just focus on the training and all of that.
Well, of course, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Tom, final
market.
word. Sorry, just want to fit you in there.
Actually, that was going to be my comment about where the further opportunities are, because this is a real estate play, getting butts in a seat. I think if you were able to explain where additional equity can be found, where additional revenues can be found, are you creating your own IP in games, which is where there's a lot of opportunity? Are we starting to buy into leagues that are coming out of this facility? If you are doing any of that, I would highly recommend inserting that in this pitch. I think it would really help the investors feel like there's more of skin in the game when they put their check in your company.
Yep, fair enough.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Give me a hand. One more presentation, then we'll know who won the $50,000 media prize from Cambridge House. So I'll call up Amir Hayeri.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Amir, the founder of HopKidz Technologies. It feels great to be here. Thank you for having me. We're a machine learning company that applies machine learning to healthcare data. So we integrate wearable, consumer wearable, medical wearable data. The very first place we apply this type of technology is for glucose control. As you may be familiar with, diabetes was a fatal disease till 1921 when Canadians discovered insulin. From that point on, the disease has turned from a fatal disease to a chronic condition. And a lot of people that you may know actually live their daily lives throughout. The main problem with diabetes is, if the clicker works, first of all, it's growing on epidemic level. So I don't really need to stress that. It affects 10% of the global population and is projected just to grow. The main problem is glucose management. At any moment in time, a diabetic is about 3 to 7 hours away from death. If it goes too high, glucose goes too high and stays there, there's a risk of blindness, limb amputation, stroke. If it goes low, you can go into shock, coma, death in 3 hours. So to deal with this problem, we've been proactive. So since 1974, we created a lab test device to measure glucose once every 6 or 12 months. We've then developed in 1991 miniaturized the technology so people can actually take it home and do this multiple times a day. But in reality is nobody wants to prick their fingers 3 times a day. So in around 2005, they created devices that are known as continuous glucose monitors that measure people's glucose every 5 minutes. But the main issue with this device is these devices in general. So for instance, they give you 115 milligrams per deciliter, but they don't really provide you with any type of information in terms of how the blood glucose is going to change over the next 30, 45, and 60 minutes. So you're supposed to respond with insulin and food or a combination of them, but you really don't have any idea of how it's fluctuating. To deal with this problem, actually, this is a typical glucose behavior for a person with diabetes. They start the day high, they inject insulin, it goes low, they eat, it goes back up, and then it's always zigzagging outside, and this is extremely dangerous. So to deal with this problem, we've actually created a solution that accurately predicts users' future glucose values 60 minutes ahead of time. So it shows them how it did in the past and how their glucose is going to fluctuate ahead of time. The way it works is that it pulls in information from the continuous glucose monitors that I told you about, and it integrates that information with heart rate and activity coming from Apple Watch or Fitbit Watch. It runs everything through the cloud. Now, just to give you a context of how the information, the technology is today, even if the user has those devices, the data from them don't even show up on the same screen. So we pull all that information in, we run through our machine learning algorithms in the cloud, and they're able to learn users' behavior and make a projection of how their glucose is going to fluctuate 60 minutes ahead of time. In addition to that, we recalculate those predictions every 5 minutes. That effectively removes the need for manual input. So you don't need to tell us if you're going for a walk, if you injected insulin or food. As soon as one of those devices picks them up, we're able to recalculate your predictions. So we went to BC Children's Hospital with the idea of the product. They allowed us to actually test it, and what we found out is that for a 60-minute prediction horizon, we are 94.9% accurate. Now, that was very empowering from an entrepreneur's perspective because some of the greatest companies, device manufacturers, can't even get anywhere close to that range, and that is the pink line. So we were super excited, so we launched the app December last year, and this is a typical glucose behavior for patient right after download, day 1, and this is the same patient 21 days, 3 weeks after using the solution. So just to reiterate, day 1, day 21. So we were super excited. We released it. User feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Can put this back up. Go-to-market strategy is that we actually medically tested the device with BC Children's Hospital. Released December last year. Peaked at 5,000 users. And we introduced a paywall. We presented at the American Diabetes Association. We introduced a paywall from $5.99 to $15.99, and we're currently getting users with that price point. We're presenting at D-Data conference. Our goal is to be the top 100 medical app on the App Store in second quarter of 2019. This is where we focus right now. So the layers of the technology has changed. So back in the day, it was strips, sensors, receivers, and display. With the introduction of cloud and newer devices, the entire technology stack has changed, and we control the last 3 steps, but we want to focus on the disease and the prediction side moving forward. This is the industry that we focus in. There are big competitors. Pharma actually moved in, essentially just scooping up some of the smaller companies. So if you know anyone who's diabetic, please let them know that the app is available on the App Store, Diabits, and it's a game changer. I'm going to pause to see if there are comments or questions from the judges.
Thanks, Amir. Round of applause. I think for this one, I'm just going to take a score, because I think the questions can go in all sorts of places here. What is the ask?
We're actually doing a seed round. We're trying to raise $1 million. 1 million Canadian.
Can I ask a stupid question?
There are no stupid questions.
Don't take this the wrong way. Are you a company or are you a product that you're developing?
So the company is BioConscious Technologies. It is a company of 4 people, 4 developers, and Diabits is our first product.
Okay.
If I may actually go forward a little bit. So the technology itself has many use cases. So now we started tinkering around with blood pressure, and another company is actually making sensors for women at risk for preeclampsia. We've actually shown that it's feasible.
You said enough. I got to let them vote.
Yes,
or else
absolutely. It's
I'm
possible to do
time.
it for
all right, put her up. All right.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. I think I know where this is going. Chris, you're gaming the system. I'm not going to let you talk because you gave it a 10. Mike Volker, I haven't heard from you in a while. You gave a 9, so that's close enough to 10.
Yeah, I thought it was compelling. That's my favorite word when I listen to presentations. It was easy to understand, clean, simple. I would like to have seen a bit by way of projection and numbers. And most importantly, one of the things that most of the presenters have omitted to say is, how am I going to make money as an investor? That would be nice to see in there. But from what I've seen so far, I think it warrants a serious look.
Okay. Anyone else strong feelings, Stacy?
Yeah, so I actually have a really personal pain point around this. My dad is a diabetic, and he almost died, like literally in my arms after having a seizure due to his glucose levels rising and dropping. And so I deeply understand this problem, and being, both my father and I have been technology entrepreneurs who have been trying to find technical solutions to this. So the scope of the problem is big. I love the predictive element. I think that's the missing piece for diabetics because they often do not have time to respond as soon as symptoms occur, as you know. I think the thing that I would be a little bit interested in is that there is a lot of movement in this space, and there are a lot of major companies putting deep R&D money into developing. So just a little bit of a better understanding on how you plan to conquer the global market on this, as opposed to being, more of a grassroots sort of consumer-led movement.
Yeah, so right now we're actually looking for a strategic partner in terms of medical devices to actually bring them on board. We've talked to a lot of companies. What is interesting is that you're absolutely right. A lot of people are coming into the money, but the battle is focused around the devices. Who can ship the most number of units, who can make it less invasive, and who can make the best, cheapest sensor possible. It will come a time where CGM will be completely commoditized. And then the battle will shift from, okay, now we have actually conquered the market. What are we going to do with the data? And I think we are positioning ourselves in a good spot for either an exit or acquisition around the time where the battle actually shifts. Some of the slides where you see Fitbit is investing in Sono $6 million to do it with microneedles. We talked to a local company, Microdermics, that was trying to actually do it with microneedles. So I think that would be the next sort of jump. And we're trying to position ourselves so that by the time it comes, it just doesn't make any sense for companies to go at it alone. It'll be like, well, these guys are out there. Let's just either work with them or acquire them or something like that. Did that answer the question?
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say really, really great pitch. You did a really great job.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And also, it's really good time for you to be raising with Apple, just announcing their ECG watch. I think the one thing I would love to have seen, because you are such a heavy tech company, is anything around patents or what your moat is, because I think you do have this first mover advantage according to you. I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into that. But I worry a little bit about who else is really playing in this space.
Yes, so we actually have a patent filed with 3 different embodiments. What we're trying to create is what I call general AI. And we don't really have a general AI where we can pull essentially unstructured data and be able to predict diseases. So what we've built is that we've built 3 narrow AIs. Diabits is the very first one, and we've applied for patent for the procedure of actually making predictions for the 2 other conditions that I actually showed. The patent is awaiting office action, and if approved, it gives us protection for the 3 products that is essentially there. But I have a generally bigger idea, and that is to actually build an infrastructure where you can have whatever device you have from whatever manufacturer, and it will be able to say, okay, you're having a disease or you're having a fever, don't show up to work. That's a general idea, but
open with that next time. That's your vision.
Well, the problem is it sends the wrong message to the investor. They think like, oh, Amir's crazy, he's all over the place.
No, but you're supposed to be crazy. You're the one doing
I know.
Party.
Sorry.
Raise more money.
If you give it to me, that would be fantastic. I'll be all for it.
We can talk afterwards.
Chris, last comment, unless...
I'm a diabetic. I want what you're providing right now. And if you have any trouble raising that $1 million, let's talk. We'll figure it out on the public markets.
I appreciate that.
Cool. Nice. Let's give him a hand, folks.
Thank you very much.
I can't see that. You'll have to bring it up. So I'm going to get the results here, everyone. Just hold your breath. Remember what's at stake here, and I think I might know who it is, but I'm just going to make sure. Believe it or not, folks, Diabits won today's competition, so I'll call Amir out one more time. We'll give him a round of applause. He just won $50,000 in services, media services from Cambridge House.
All right, that was unexpected. Thank you.
Yeah. No, good job.
What did I win?
Good job, everyone, today. Everyone come out. Great job today. Folks, I really want to thank our panel of judges. Like I said, this is the great panel of judges today. I learned a lot just sitting here, hearing them give feedback. To you guys for having the bravery to come up here and spill your guts and ask for money and do all that stuff. I applaud you for that. And being one of the organizers and sponsors of the show, we really thank you, everyone, for doing this. This is a fun way to end the day.